Welcome back to the Bullpal podcast. Here we are. I've got a few rare dudes with me today. I'd like to introduce, on my right hand side, I've got Dayyan and Neve. I've got Kai on and I've got Richie Lovett. For those of you who don't know who they are, you're going to find out. But most people...
You weren't watching surfing in the 80s then?
You must be very young, all right? But anyway, so welcome. We'll give you a bit of a rundown of what's going on and why we're here. Thanks to Four Pines Legends for giving us the fridge and some beers. Dayyan wanted to drink Frangelico, so he's playing it cool. But here we are. So I'd like to introduce the boys and just say that really the reason they're here is because they're exceptional surfers. They still are. They especially were. They made the WCT, which is pretty amazing feat when you look at how many people in the world wanted to try to achieve that and get on the tour. It's a really minute group of individuals, and we're going to delve into how they got there, why they got there, it's an amazing feat, and we're just going to, they're all three of the most different individual personalities you could ever meet, but they're all really good friends, and I'm proud to be your mates, and I'm really proud of your achievements. So,
Cool. Thanks,
boys. Thanks,
They made me cry. Rich needs a Kleenex.
$50 rent upstairs.
So anyway, your career spans. There's slightly different ages. Rich is the oldest. You guys are coming in a few years behind, but as far as your competitive careers, there was never, you surfed in the QSs against each other a few times, but as far as the CT, from memory, Rich, just as you heard about your hip, that was the year then the boys really sort of moved on to the CT, is that correct?
Yeah, it was. My last year on the tour was 2005, and I think that was the year, or just the year before you guys made it. Yeah, so I did 10 years straight. You did 10 years. You did a couple. No, but
there's going to be a lot of that.
That's an early whipping, isn't it?
There'll be a few of those.
Liver shot.
Rich is
Full liver shot.
Yeah.
Unzip.
Rich is doing his first liver shot. Just got down. Flush.
I did it first. I had the longest. No, I didn't mean to.
No, but we are talking about the bad way. No, he doesn't mean in the bad way because we do have to work out the time frames.
So I did from '96 to 2005, and then I got off the tour, and then you guys got on the tour. But there was that few years when you guys were on the qualifying series, and I was doing the qualifying series as well because it was so much fun. And
you were all living in Manly.
And we were all living at Manly at that point, and it was. I guess we just started off. For me, being already had that career on the CT, and I knew these guys were coming up, and they were really keen, really passionate, and I knew that they were both going to make it at some point.
You didn't think I was making it?
Not at the very start. I don't think I did.
No one thought you were.
No. Truth be told, in the early years, I was like maybe not, but you put in so much damn hard work, and that's. No one can take that away from you, and then look at what you achieved. So,
that's right.
That's testament to dedication and hard work, and your passion for it, and your desire for it. So,
exactly.
But those couple of years that we did do the QS, they were so much fun. Like in my memory, there's definitely some of the best years in terms of just being on the tour and having fun, and I guess for me in a way, trying to show these guys the ropes a little bit and try and inspire them to do it. My goal, obviously, I would have liked to have done the tour for a lot longer. And I wanted these guys on the CT, and then we could have all done it together, and that would have just been really, really cool. But fate didn't happen that way. So, but I was really stoked to watch them go on and qualify, and then have good careers, and they both won events, and
cool.
It was great.
Yeah, cool. All right. So, Ottz, might as well have a few words from you.
Yeah, well, mine's a bit different. I didn't grow up here. Obviously, I grew up in Tathra, but finished high school and came up. And I'd met Dayyan when I met you at Green Island. that time? So
Yep, down behind, what is it, Panthers Caravan Park on that little left.
Is it called Panthers? Behind the Dunny Block at Panthers.
I think we both got scratched.
No, Green Island. But anyway, I met you, years before, and then decided I got offered a job actually at Aloha. I had a friend that had moved from Tafra, that older guy that made boards, and the
Aloha factory?
Yeah, he offered me a job, said I could come and clean the dunnies at Aloha, which I did. And I was 17, just straight out of high school, finished my last exam and came up, started working.
Right.
And I remember it was pretty funny. I was pretty much pre-pubescent, little fella.
Yeah. Little guy.
And I remember the boys said, "Oh, far out, this little kid's living at Manly." That's what they were thinking. He's real good. He's like 11 years old. He's going to go good. 11. And I was 18, and they're like, "Oh, poor kid, he's fucked."
He's like a young little version of Hedgie. He's going to be so good when he grows up. Tommy goes, "Mate, he's older than me."
True.
Did you know you wanted to be a pro back then?
Yeah, that's all I looked at when I was from down south.
Did you know that you wanted to be a pro surfer? Did you have it from a real early age where you went, this is exactly what
I just didn't want to go to school.
So your motivation was probably a little different
to
climb on?
Yeah, I just wanted to go surfing, and it was the only way to do it without having to work or anything like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but at the same time, Rich and Justin and Barden and Merrick and all, Bainey and all the older guys from the beach, they were all there and they sort of blazed the trail, so you could see your path. There wasn't.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of hard work that went into it from all of you and different techniques.
That was a lot different than. I didn't even have board riders where I grew up. Like we had one comp a year, so when I got up here, I was pretty green to competition and everything. I travelled a bit to do juniors, but I'd always just get whooped.
But
you never did good at all.
Basically, you needed to come to Manly and surf some shit.
And that was. It's competitive, just actually breathing in Manly when you get here, when you're a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically.
It can be intimidating.
And I think that helped me, like moulded me to become a competitive surfer, at least, even the board riders. And it was hard. Even guys like Andrew Froggatt did so good in the board riders back. I didn't even beat him. He's got me 1-0. If you can believe that.
Didn't he retire after
he did. Never did another comp. Froggy.
Frog Williams.
They thought he was going to make it too. But then I just for pro surfing for me was in magazines and videos, and then when I got here, it's like guys like Rich, who I didn't know at the time, only kind of knew Dayyan, and you see Justin, and you've seen them all in the magazines, and it was pretty cool for me I was foaming.
It's a mix but it's so different nowadays, boys, isn't it? The whole junior surfing. Like they get filmed, they go to high performance centres. There was none of that when you guys grew up.
No,
you probably watched Kelly Slater.
It was quite funny because
1,000 times.
For me, I had one video I particularly liked. This is well before I moved to Manly. It was only a Liquid Planet, and it had Rich in it.
Yeah, right, Rubber Man.
He was ripping.
Yeah.
And it had.
Is that Rubber Man?
Yeah, and it had Micro Melcy in it, and he ended up being a big part of my career. He got me sponsored by Insight.
He was an early influence, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was one of the guys I watched in that vid, and Rich. It was pretty funny. Shane Herring. It was a sick vid. I used to watch it every arvo, and then you're up here, see him in the surf, and it went from there. It was pretty cool. So
it's good to have. I was going to mention that your early influences. Who would be your biggest influence on your surfing style and who
Jeff McCoy.
Yeah. Apart from Jeff McCoy, probably Jashale Singh and Evan Hall was a big one.
Can you go a little bit higher up the is there any pro?
Luke Ashley was a big
Lucas.
of the beach.
Isn't his name Lucas?
Yeah.
Lucas when he's ordering coffee.
Yeah, he gets the biggest tubes and tells everyone about it.
Hidden crouching.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but in all seriousness, growing up at Manly, like I said before, you had BL and Rich and Justin Cook. They were probably the guys I looked up to, apart from a few core locals like Derwood and like Paul Charlesworth and a few other boys. I think Jacobs was floating around, and Blair Heath and Julian State were doing some crazy stuff in the surf. And for me, like just growing up in Manly, you just wanted to surf as good as the next guy. Yeah. And then, like after a while, you feel with your mentors,
You also you got the Coke Classic and that coming to town, all those big comps.
Yeah, well, that didn't really. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't really happening here. It was up at Narrabeen. Yeah. But it was closer than Tarford was.
Closer than I got.
Yeah, but like you get a few of the older boys come up and tap you on the shoulder and go, "Yeah, you're surfing good, Gromit. Keep that up, and you might be able to make a future out of it one day." And that kind of keeps the seed going.
Well, obviously sponsors need to come to the party too. Like you're not going to get there without sponsors.
Yeah.
And on that note, I know you all individually rode for Aloha, Cluffy back in the day, at different times. Was there ever a moment when you're all on the team at the same time or not?
No,
yeah,
really.
I think so.
All different.
We were probably getting boards at the same time, but Rich was on his own path. You were later, weren't you?
Yeah, I started with Aloha and then went back to Aloha.
Yeah, that's
over the last couple of years of my career, I went back there.
Yeah.
But that was my first sponsor ever.
Yeah,
it was Aloha Surfboards, first one ever. But I think it's probably a good segue to just talk about the Aloha word, the Aloha brand.
Yeah,
that's something that's
a pretty powerful.
Been pretty constant in Manly and also just around Brookie area, and
definitely.
There was the board factory and then there was the shop, and then it's that whole kind of institution of the factories and the surf shops and everything. That's a big part of growing up as a grommet too. And you would feel it here when the grommets come in and they hang out.
Half of this, Rich, is for this North State's got some unbelievable kids surfing.
There's a lot of talent coming through.
You know what I mean? And I actually want those kids to watch this
and
see how you did it. And
there's a lot of legends coming through.
There's a lot of legends.
Funny kids from North State having a hell time.
Yeah. And it was no different. When there was so many different characters in Manly as we grew up. And you'd sort of feed off them, and you found your place amongst them. Yeah. But then there was the ones who were really serious and who knew that they were going to go on to have a pro career. Yeah. And it's pretty. You can kind of earmark. I mean, you can see the ones on the beach now who want it.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got to want it.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of great surfers from this beach that have had a few too many of those. Be honest and spiraled out, and not just from this beach, from every beach.
Well, you learn from that as well too, don't you? You look at the paths not to take.
Exactly.
For
sure. Well, I was going to say rest in peace, Dave. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty sad what happened to him the other day. Really? He was a classic example of a great talent, too early exposed to the rock and roll lifestyle, being on the tour.
I remember
and that was during your time, by the way, boys. It was during.
I remember
and it's so clean cut nowadays.
The very first comp I ever went in was Northside Board Riders. It was a Northside Board Riders Club comp, and Northside Board Riders was a mobile board riding club on the northern beaches for anyone that didn't really have a home. And this was before I came down to North State and Queensland and got involved. And Davo and I both joined that board riding club, and we both competed there for 2 years. And then he went to Narrabeen and I came down here, and so that we both. He was a tiny kid at then. I was 14 or something, 13 or 14 at the time, and then he was a couple of years.
Where was he
really? He was around Narrabeen, but I just for whatever reason we both didn't gravitate towards the club. We only lasted a year or so, and then we connected with the local board riding clubs, but like even early on, he was so damn talented. Yeah. You could see that he was gonna, if he could quieten the beast within him, and keep that.
Well, not many guys could. A classic example, not many guys could just paddle out. He probably had a massive night before and go and dust up Slater.
I was on the beach when he did that. It was incredible.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah.